So the January 6th committee, kind of the two biggest names coming out of that, partly because, or probably completely because they're Republicans speaking out against Trump, has been Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And the committee as a whole has largely tried to stay away from saying clearly if they want Trump to be charged. And their answer usually would be, listen, that's not up to us to decide. We'll leave that up to the DOJ. We're just trying to uncover the truth to make sure that it doesn't look like they're colluding or there's some fishy, politically motivated prosecution plans going on. Okay, so that was the vibe, and you want to get a clear answer. But Cheney has started to kind of shift over and make it pretty clear and start pushing for and advocating for Trump being charged. And we have a clip of that to look at today.
Department is, from what I can tell from the outside, committed to following the facts and following the evidence, and they're taking it seriously.
Some have expressed concern that prosecuting former President Trump would turn him into a martyr and potentially add to his political strength with a base that follows him pretty rapidly. Do you share that concern? Do you have any concern that a prosecution would strengthen Donald Trump's political hand?
I don't think that it's appropriate to think about it that way.
We'll let her continue in just a second here, but great answer. I don't think you can look at what the repercussions, because a figure has a big cult-like following, of prosecuting them would be in deciding if you're going to prosecute. You should look at if there's crimes there and make a decision about prosecution based on that. You can't be like, oh, I'm scared of the followers' response, or I'm scared that this would make Trump more of a martyr, and that's why I'm not going to enforce, rule of law.
Because the question for us is, are we a nation of laws? Are we a country where no one is above?
Okay, we're just going to take a quick pause here just for our YouTube viewers. Apologies to the podcast listeners, but this is going on. I think it's in Liz Cheney's house. It's an interview, a CNN interview depicting the image here for our podcast listeners. And in the background, you see a window. Inside of it, it looks like a big, bobcat stuffed thing, but what do you call those? Like not a statue, but a stuffed bobcat that maybe was hunted, or a different animal that looks like that. I can't see the head, so I don't actually know what animal that is. Maybe a small bear. I don't know what that is. But what is going on, Liz Cheney? In like her windowsill, she has this humongous animal, as if she's in a museum. That's a stuffed animal. And I'm not saying stuffed animal like the cute one, like whenever you kill it and then stuff it with stuff to make it look like the way that it was before you killed it. Really, really weird. Really, really weird. Liz, you're freaking me out here.
Of the law, and what do the facts and the evidence show? And certainly, I've been very clear. I think he's guilty of the most serious dereliction of duty of any president in our nation's history. You've had a federal judge in California say that it's more likely than not that he and John Eastman committed two crimes. So, I think that we're going to continue to follow the facts. I think the Department of Justice will do that, but they have to make decisions about prosecution, understanding what it means if the facts and the evidence are there and they decide not to prosecute. How do we then call ourselves a nation of laws? I think that's a very serious balancing.
It sounds like you think that the evidence is there, and that if they don't follow that evidence, that's a dereliction of duty on their part.
Well, the committee has been, I think, very thorough in laying out much of what we know. There's much more that we have not yet shared in hearings, and that we anticipate we will share in the fall. But and we will also make decisions about criminal referrals, and ultimately the decision about prosecution is up to the Justice Department. But I would anticipate that the committee will have an opinion on that.
Very interesting. So she lays out, look, these different legal experts think that Trump committed crimes, and there's all this evidence, and not hiding it. I shouldn't say hiding, not avoiding making it clear that she thinks he should be charged, which I think was the game plan initially, was to kind of say, listen, we're not in the business of saying if he committed crimes. We're in the business of just presenting evidence based on our congressional investigation. But now it's like, look, we're providing evidence, and also personally, I think there's crimes there, which is really, really interesting. And I agree with her analysis there. And we will continue to watch this closely because it's one of the biggest, most important stories that we're going to cover in a long time. I mean, is the president of the United States or the former president going to get away with something he did as president, which was trying to overturn lawful election results? That can't be allowed. And I believe that more every day, the more that we learn about his actions and the interactions between him and his allies.